You hear this story going around right now about a great American nuclear renaissance. It's supposedly being bankrolled by big tech to power the whole AI boom. And look, every part of that story is technically true, but it misses the single most important detail. Who is actually paying for it? Okay, let's get into this, because underneath all those positive headlines, there's a huge cost transfer happening, and yeah, it's heading straight for your utility bill.
So let's just start with this number right here, $9.3 billion. And this isn't some far-off projection. No, this is the new additional cost for guaranteed electricity that is already being passed on to 67 million Americans across 13 states. It's a cost that basically popped up overnight, with no public vote, no warning, nothing.
And this quote from our source material really just hits the nail on the head. This isn't just about building new power plants. It's about a quiet, almost invisible subsidy flowing directly from the public to some of the wealthiest companies the world has ever seen, the very companies powering this AI revolution.
So how in the world does this subsidy actually work? Well, it all kicks off with the absolutely unprecedented demand for electricity coming from all these new AI data centers. Their thirst for power has completely upended the energy markets that were, designed to serve all of us.
I mean, just look at the scale of this price shock. This is the cost to guarantee that power will be there when you need it on the PJM grid, the largest electrical grid in North America. The price didn't just inch up, it exploded. It jumped over 10 times. We're talking an 800% increase, the sharpest spike in the market's entire 27-year history.
Okay, so where did that insane price jump come from? Well, here's the kicker. A staggering 63% of it was driven directly by the massive new power demands of AI data centers. Just because they need more power, the price for everyone on the grid shoots through the roof.
And the key that unlocks all of this is something called a power purchase agreement, or a PPA. So think of it this way. Instead of a power plant selling its electricity to your local utility for you and your neighbors, a company like Microsoft just steps in and signs a private 20-year deal to buy 100% of that plant's power. They've essentially built a private express lane on the energy highway, and they're leaving the rest of us to pay for maintaining the road.
And big tech isn't just buying up any old power source. Oh no, they're targeting a very specific slice of America's nuclear fleet, this 39% known as merchant plants. See, unlike your traditional utility, these plants sell their power on the open market. These were the plants that were supposed to be serving the shared public grid, and now they're being taken private one long-term contract at a time.
But here's the thing, it's not just happening in one way. The cost is actually a stack of 3 separate compounding subsidies, and they're all designed to be almost impossible for you to spot on your monthly bill.
So first, you have that capacity cost transfer we just talked about. That's the $9.3 billion price spike. Second, you've got federal subsidies. Our tax dollars are literally funding reactor restarts, like the one at 3 Mile Island, only for a private company like Microsoft to swoop in and grab all the power. And third, through these direct connections they call behind-the-meter deals, these companies get to bypass the fees that fund grid maintenance, which just shifts those costs onto everybody else.
And make no mistake, this is not an accident. The whole structure of these deals is designed to ensure that the public rarely, if ever, connects the dots between the tech boom and their own rising energy costs. It's a massive transfer of wealth, hidden in plain sight.
But believe it or not, the rising cost for you and me is only half the story, because underneath all of this, a second, arguably even more critical crisis is brewing, and it's a global shortage of the very fuel that makes this nuclear power possible in the first place. You see, this whole nuclear renaissance is being built on one giant assumption, that there's a stable, available supply of uranium. But that assumption is crumbling fast as major countries are starting to lock up the world's future fuel supply for themselves.
And this shows you just how fast things are moving. In the span of only 2 weeks, the world's top 2 uranium producers signed massive, long-term deals to supply India. Just like that. Poof! A huge portion of the available global supply for the next decade was taken off the market by a single country.
So, while this global scramble is happening, where does that leave the U.S.? Well, America's own nuclear fuel chain is dangerously vulnerable at pretty much every single step.
This really lays out how vulnerable we are. We have almost zero domestic capacity to enrich uranium. Our entire fuel chain depends on a single aging conversion plant in Illinois. And here's the real kicker. The next generation reactors that big tech is betting on, they need a special, more powerful fuel called HALEU, and there is no commercial supply chain for it in the US at all. This slide shows the mismatch perfectly. On one side, you have sovereign buyers like India acting decisively, using state power to lock up supply for the long haul. And on the other side, you have U.S. utilities, stuck in this slow, risk-averse cycle of just buying what they need when they need it. They are being completely outplayed on the world stage.
So this is where our two stories, the domestic cost crisis and the global supply crisis, come together, and they are on a direct collision course.
So, at the end of the day, who wins and who loses? The winners are pretty clear. Big tech gets clean, reliable power that's subsidized by all of us. The merchant nuclear operators and uranium producers, well, their profits are soaring. And the losers, that's the public, facing higher bills. It's the regulated utilities who are caught in a supply squeeze. And ultimately, it's U.S. energy security itself.
And let's just bring this back down to what it means for your wallet. This isn't a theory. In Virginia, a huge hub for data centers, the state's own utility projects that the average residential electric bill could hit $255 a month by 2035. That's nearly double what it is today.
Which leaves us with the central question in all of this. With AI demand surging, with global uranium supplies being hoarded by other countries, and with America's own fuel chain full of holes, what happens in just a few years when all 94 U.S. reactors are all competing for the scraps of a market that was already running on empty? It's a question we all need to start asking.